I'm now going to turn the stage to Nick, who's one of our board members. He's going to introduce himself, but I will just summarize his entire life in the following 5 lines.
Thank you.
There once was a fellow named Nick whose tech skills were sharp and quite sleek. With courses and forums, he built learning emporiums. For social good, his passion was quick. Nick.
Thank you so much, Moran. Hello, everybody. Very excited to welcome Anna to the stage here. Anna, come on up. Great. We'll sit over here. All right. So, Anna, you have an incredible story. I am very excited to have you share it with our PopTech audience here, and welcome to PopTech for the first time. You're the financial director of the Anti-Corruption Foundation, the leading opposition power in Russia, founded by Alexei Navalny. More recently, you've joined the Human Rights Foundation, which is how we connected with you, where you do work as part of the financial freedom team, assisting NGOs, civil society groups, embracing Bitcoin's potential for incorporating it into their work. I want to start by asking you how you got started as an activist in Russia, of all places.
First of all, hello everyone, and it's my pleasure to be here. I'm originally from Russia, and one of the goals of Putin's regime in Russia is to keep you out of politics. If you live in Russia and you have your usual life and you're not working in politics, you don't really see this content anywhere, because Russian state TV, Russian propaganda machine is so huge, and you don't actually encounter with any opposition media, and you don't really realize that there are any alternatives in the country, and you don't even think about it if you don't dig deeper. And I'm not gonna lie, unfortunately, most of my life I lived like that. I had a usual job, and I wasn't thinking about politics at all for a very long time, till 7 years ago when I discovered Alexei Navalny's work. I was invited to a protest rally in the city center of Moscow, where I lived back then, and I joined it just for fun with my friends. And I came to the city center and I saw 30,000 people protesting against corruption of Russian authorities.
It's amazing.
And I was shocked that something is happening in my country. It's so huge, and I don't have much of an understanding of what's going on. And after I came back home from the protest rally, I decided to investigate what happened, and I found out that Alexei Navalny released an investigation video that triggered thousands and thousands of people everywhere in the country to go and protest. And the very next day, I sent my CV to Navalny's team, and I just got hired.
It's incredible. It's incredible. So you went from protest to, I think I want to join this incredible movement and be part of this team. So you get hired, and you are essentially helping to run an NGO working on anti-corruption inside Russia. There are many people in this audience who run startups and nonprofit foundations. What was it like doing this inside Russia, especially from a banking and financial standpoint, which is where you were focused?
I would say it was adventurous. Working in Russia, fighting against Putin regime, it's always dangerous doing that, and especially if you're doing it inside the country. And I had the chance to work together with Navalny's team for 2 years during the presidential campaign, 2017-2018, and I had to face lots of threats from the Russian regime, and they attacked our organization in many different ways. There were arrests of my colleagues, there were physical threats, assassination attempts, different types of surveillance, police raids in the office. Like every single day we had to face this kind of stories. But I personally, as a financial manager of the organization, I had to face a very different type of challenges. So the first thing that any oppressive regime, not only Russian government, is doing against you when they try to stop your organization from operating, is they simply block your bank accounts. They shut down your bank accounts, and you cannot operate because you need to make so many payments. We had to pay salaries, we had to pay all bills, taxes, and we had a huge network of 300 employees all across the country, and I was paying salaries to them. And I had a mind-blowing story. One day in 2019, I was just sitting at my working desk in Moscow doing my usual financial duties, and I refreshed the page of our online bank, and what I saw there was a negative balance of -1 trillion rubles, which was like minus 13 billion euros at that moment. And just a moment ago,
small amount of money.
Yeah, just a moment ago, we had all of our savings on that bank account.
Yeah.
I refreshed the page, and what I see is minus 999, 999, and the amount was so huge I didn't even know what the number was. And just like that, we lost all of our money, and I called the bank to clarify the situation. I asked them what's going on, and they cannot even give any explanation. They just say that your bank account is under arrest. And the next day, we discovered that there was a fabricated criminal case against the organization, and at this reason, they blocked the bank account. And this is how they attacked our foundations all the time. First, they blocked the bank accounts of our organization. Then they started blocking bank accounts of our employees. And eventually, everyone was scared receiving any money from our organization. If we want to make a payment, for example, we organize a protest rally in Moscow, and we need to rent equipment, microphone, stage, like very simple things that you need to pay for. And the problem was that contractors didn't want to receive payments from us because they understand that the banking system in Russia is fully transparent, fully controlled by the government, and if they receive money from us, their bank account will be at risk of being arrested for collaborating with Navalny's team. And this was the challenge for us every single day, to find a way how to pay for some certain services or how not to lose money on your bank account. And if you keep money in cash at home, the police raid comes and they confiscate all the cash they find at your apartment, which also happened many times. So eventually, we realized that it's not safe to operate only in rubles. And in 2016, we started collecting donations for the presidential campaign, and we began collecting Bitcoin donations together with rubles donations because we needed a plan B, and this is how we had to operate while working in Russia.
So let's go deeper here. I only tell my closest friends that I'm a Bitcoin enthusiast for fear of being branded a crypto bro. The attitude in the United States and in many countries is that cryptocurrencies are full of scams, that they're used by bad actors to do bad things. But for you, on the front lines of a human rights organization, this was a critical tool, technology, to empower you all to do basic functions of running a nonprofit. Can you say more about how you used it and what it became to you and your colleagues?
Yeah, of course. So unfortunately, this topic, Bitcoin for activists, Bitcoin for human rights defenders, is not familiar to most of the people. Every time when you say the word Bitcoin, everyone thinks that it's a scam or it's about trading or anything else. No one actually knows that all activists from all over the world are facing the same problems, and most of them are using Bitcoin in order to operate under oppressive regimes. So I would recommend you to, if you have to explain to your friends, I would recommend you to take a look at the book stand here in this building in the lobby. And there is an amazing book presented that is called Check Your Financial Privilege. This book is written by my boss from the Human Rights Foundation, Alex Gladstein. And this book is actually a collection of stories of activists like me from all over the world, and their stories of how they are deprived of access to traditional money and how they have to use Bitcoin in their work and how they successfully do it on a daily basis. And in my work, right now I live and work in exile in Lithuania, and the entire Anti-Corruption Foundation lives in Lithuania, and we operate with Bitcoin every single day. We make all payments to Russia today exclusively in Bitcoin, because since Putin invaded Ukraine, Russia is facing financial sanctions. The entire country is being completely cut off from the global financial system. You physically cannot make any payments to Russia. And also we rely on donations. As an NGO, we receive donations, and Russians are our target audience, and we lost donations from the entire country, and the only way for Russians today to donate to us is by using Bitcoin. So we receive Bitcoin crowdfunding while operating inside Europe. We make payments to Russia in Bitcoin. We support political prisoners, their family members. We cover their lawyers' fees. We do all of those payments in Bitcoin. And I personally had to pay for Alexei Navalny's funerals this year, and I had to use Bitcoin to do that because we just didn't have any other opportunity to do it. And this is just one story of one particular organization from Russia, but there are so many, and I'm not going to tell you all of them because I know hundreds and hundreds of activists, my friends from activists from Afghanistan, Venezuela, even Turkey. There are so many that are deprived of access to the banking system, and all of them have to operate with Bitcoin.
It's so powerful, and we did have Alex speak 2 years ago at PopTech, and he gave a really, really tremendous talk about the power of Bitcoin, this untold narrative that we often doesn't surface in our discourse around Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies here. So we thank you for sharing that. We've got a lot of Americans in this audience, and you and I were talking in our planning call about what would you want an American audience to know about what life is like living in an oppressive regime. What do you wish they knew about the realities of living in some of the conditions? We've talked about a little bit of that, but take us a bit deeper and share anything else that comes to mind. And I know you've left. How long have you been living in Lithuania now?
So I left Russia 5 years ago. I lived in different countries after I left the country, and unfortunately I cannot go back.
Ever? Are you thinking long-term never?
I mean, I don't know. I hope that one day Russia will be free and peaceful country and I can go back and see my family. But right now, there is no way for me to go because I have several fabricated criminal cases and I just cannot travel to Russia. And I travel to America quite often right now because of my work, because of my work with the Human Rights Foundation. I do a lot of advocacy for Bitcoin, for activists, and traveling in America quite often, I hear from Americans, and it surprises me, Americans used to say, yeah, we have similar situation in America that you're having in Russia. And I say, not even close to it, because here maybe you're not happy with some certain political situations, but still you have a right to go and protest. You can go to the street and say that you don't like something and you will not be arrested for that. In Russia, if you just put a negative comment on internet about the existing government, you can go to jail just for criticizing the government online. And I'm not even saying about going to the street. You will be immediately imprisoned for doing that. So here you still have many privileges of experiencing all types of freedoms. And if we talk about financial freedoms and banking systems, I would say that before, long ago, when money was just invented, it was never controlled by the governments before. Governments never interfered in the banking system. And here in America, I see that everyone take it as something normal, that when you make operations, financial operations, transactions, they're all controlled by the government, and any moment your transaction can be stopped, can be frozen, and everyone takes it as something normal, that there is that amount of control. But I would say that you must be very careful and think about that there is a very thin line between the government offering you protection by controlling your financial transaction and the surveillance of your financial transactions, because this is the line that the Russian government crossed long ago from protecting your financial transactions to using it as a tool against you. And this is how the Russian government operates right now. They see, like, the banking system is transparent, they see all transactions, and they use this data against you. They use your personal data that you leave in the banking system against you. And right now, if any Russian donates to our organization, they will be imprisoned up to 8 years for supporting a so-called extremist organization. So here in America, you still have many freedoms, but you should be very careful noticing first signs of where freedoms become
against,
against
dangerous things.
Yeah.
My last question for you. Working for Alexei Navalny, he has sort of this mythological status in certainly global discourse, but I think among many Americans too. This person standing up to Putin who had all of these attacks on his life, his health, and then decides to go back to Russia to face yet another criminal prosecution that many people, including himself, knew it was rigged. What an incredible human that you had a chance to work with. Anything that you'd like to share with the audience about what it was like to be in his presence and work for him?
Yeah, sure. Alexei Navalny was my friend. We worked together for 2 years in Moscow, and he's the bravest man I know. And I think that one of the strongest personal traits was that he makes you believe in yourself, and he makes you believe that the victory is inevitable, that if you, no matter how much you're scared, it doesn't matter, we will still win if we are all together, if we do what we have to do, our victory is inevitable. And he makes you believe in yourself, and he made millions of Russians believe in themselves. And when Navalny ran the presidential campaign, he made Russians realize that there is an alternative, because before that campaign, people just didn't see any alternatives. Putin's regime exists for 25 years, and people just didn't know that there could be positive changes in the country. So Navalny gave hope to millions of people, and I think that this is one of his biggest achievements as an opposition leader. And even if he was killed, what he left for the country, this huge hope that he gave Russians, is something very, very valuable. And I'm very privileged and honored to have had a chance to work with such a person.
Well, Anna, we thank you so much for sharing your story with the PopTech community.